Okay.
Yes, sir.
7 p.m. The Board of Commissioners would like to welcome you to this meeting tonight. We call it local government. And we'd be so glad when the citizens come out and see what we do and how we do it and be part of it. We really enjoy every first and third Monday night welcome you to our county. We still think it's the best in the state of North Carolina. That's why we'd like to welcome you to come. We love working with our citizens, love to see you. So tonight we have a maybe meeting tonight to try to get you in, get you out, but Carolina not playing tonight, so take your time. But again, thank each of you for coming and sharing with us. At this time, we have our pledge and invocation by Commissioner Adam Thomas Jr.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, thank you for allowing us to come here again to do the work of the people of Hope County. Please grant all of us the wisdom that we need to make the decisions that will benefit everyone involved. We thank you for all of your many blessings. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Thomas, and each of you again. We getting ready to get started. Again, welcome to the local government. This is Hope County. Do any of the board have any issues or anything like to ask for from tonight? Have a motion approved.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Motion is second. All have time to consider. All in favor with aye? Aye. Opposed? I have. Thank you so much. Consent, we have first. Any board member have any issue with any of those items?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Second. Motion is second that we approve as printed as before you tonight. All had time to consider. All in favor with aye? Aye. Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Tax collector, Ms. Report, Ms. Dudley.
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner.
Good evening. Good evening.
Members of the board. Total collected for the month of March current year was $326,105.76 at a 93.97% rate compared to a 93.27% rate last year. Prior year's collected was $96,643.82 at a 29.18% rate compared to a 38.93% rate last year. Total collected for the month of March was $422,749.58.
Any question, Ms. Dudley? No, thanks so much. Tax assessor, Ms. Jenny Gibson. Good evening. Ms. O'Early. Good evening. Good evening.
For the releases tonight, I have one release for Breezewood of Fayetteville. It was an acreage error. 20 acres, it should have only been 2. They have a release of $2,968.74. I had 4 mobile homes double listed for a total release of $3,121.53.
Okay. Question, the wish of the board on those releases.
Make a motion, we release them as submitted.
Second. Motion second that we do as submitted. All that time to consider. All in favor with aye? Aye. Opposed? I have. Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Ms. Gwen, welcome to the board.
Yes, sir. We have an offer that has gone through the advertising process for 949 Reed Drive. It does comply with the new policy, and the amount of the bid covers all the taxes, the back taxes, and the fees.
Okay, everything's in order.
Yes.
What wish of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion second approved. All board members had time to consider. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Mr. Grady, County Attorney.
Mr. Chairman, item number 6 is dealing with the land with the Hope County Board of Education. The property where the Hope County Library and stage area now sits is actually in the name of the Board of Education.
Okay.
There's property, 38 acres, that adjoins the McLaughlin School property where their playground is. It's actually in the county's name and not the Board of Education. So what we're proposing is to swap those two pieces of property. The Board of Education conveys us the library property, and we convey them the playground property at the elementary school.
Heard it.
I've got each of you should have a resolution in front of you that authorizes that exchange on behalf of the commissioners. What I've been in contact with Mr. Strother, the surveyor, to survey both tracks. So although the Board of Education approved their resolution of exchange last week, and we're gonna go get good descriptions on both tracks and record a plat before we actually do the deeds. So the deeds may be somewhat delayed until we get the description, but as soon as we do that, we'll prepare the deeds.
Okay. sounds
And
good.
this resolution authorizes yourself and the clerk to go ahead and sign off on the deeds.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept that action? Let's do that, carry that out.
So move.
Motion second. All we had time to consider, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed, I have it, thank you. Park and Recreation, Kendra Demain, Freddie Clark.
Fred Clark will be doing.
Okay, Fred.
It's on the mission.
I'd like to say good evening,
Good evening.
Mr. Eaton, Commissioners,
Good evening.
Ms. Edens, and the citizens of Hope County. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
I come before the Commissioners tonight with the splash pad rules. It's a brand new recreation activity we have down at 211. I'm very excited about it. We reviewed several splash pads in a general location, and we put together some ideas. Last week, the advisory council looked over the ideas and the rules and stuff, and they approved it. So I'm bringing for the commissioners tonight to make any necessary changes you feel warranted. Like I said again, our splash pad is out there. We waiting on just some certain information to open it.
Okay. All right, you gonna have time to review those things? You review, see if everybody fine with it? What's your board, what you wish of the board?
I make a motion we approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion second approval. All had time to consider, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to thank Mr. Clark and the Parks and Rec Board and the staff for doing an excellent job.
Thank you, sir.
You know, that include me on that board.
Oh, I'm accepted, Chairman.
That's if you look at splash pad.
They're doing a good job.
They cut the water on one day when I was out there, and it's all together a different splash pad when you see real water coming out of it.
Yes, sir. Looks good. Do we have a time we're just gonna open to the public?
We're looking at the first week of May.
The first week?
The first week of May to do the grand opening, yes.
Will it be attended? Will someone be there, or not necessarily have someone?
We have staff attendance, sir.
Okay. All right. And it says no running, that's all. But it won't be too strict on the small children.
We got maximum capacity 100.
Oh, good.
According to how many people come for the opening day and throughout the duration of the day, we account 100, we let them in. We see how many crowds go, we work them on 30-minute intervals. We try to get everyone in there and one out. We let them rotate, sir.
Sounds good.
I can't wait to see Miss Ellen on it.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you. Tish, the next two is concerning tax and government. You want to let's be with us, those folks here tonight?
Yes.
Explain that to me.
Timothy Gaskin.
He's here tonight. Who's the next one?
And Ronald Robert Rushton.
Okay, come on up, sir. How you doing tonight? Good. Good to have you tonight. Come in. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I don't have so much an issue with the taxes.
Okay.
It was from a vehicle in 2011 and 2013.
Mhm.
I didn't realize I owed the taxes on,
Mhm.
so I feel like there was no due diligence to let me know. I may have missed it in the mail or something. And then I got a wage garnishment in just this month.
Okay.
So all I'm asking for is a chance to just pay the taxes and not the interest and garnishment.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, what can we do?
Well, and most people don't realize this, and it's Mr. Gaston.
No, he's Mr.
Rushton.
Rushton.
I'm sorry. Technically, the tax department doesn't even have to give you notice. that you owe a tax bill by statute, okay? So there's only 3 ways that this board should ever release anything regarding taxes, interest. And your situation doesn't fall in all 3. It doesn't fall in either one of the 3. So I'd advise the board not to do anything except, I think there's a recommendation that you waive the garnishment fee, and that's fine. The $30 is fine. I have no issues with that. But the interest and the taxes, I'd recommend that you not do them, because there's 3 reasons that you can waive the interest, and that's a tax imposed through clerical error, an illegal tax, or a tax levied for an illegal purpose, and this is neither one of the 3.
Yeah, I have from my employer that sends to the tax office every year the dates that they sent my address from 2014, 15, and 16, and just getting the garnishment this year shows that obviously there was a clerical error, that it lasted 5 years, not just a year.
I think,
It's 10/20/2014.
and help me out, I think maybe your name might have appeared 2 different ways on your employer's sheet, and the tax department says that that's the reason. But again,
That's again a clerical error,
Yeah.
correct?
well, again, we don't have to send you any kind of notice.
And
Because
I
you
understand
own the
that.
property.
I understand
Yeah,
that.
okay, so, again, in my opinion, it's not clerical error, it's not an illegal tax, and it's not imposed for an illegal purpose, so the board should cause the taxes and interest to be paid.
And in that case, I just would ask that I allow to pay it without the garnishment.
Without the garnishment,
Yes.
I can make that in the motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Daphne, you see you have a comment?
The only reason why.
Come up so we can talk to you.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Green stated, SunPath actually sent us the name of Robbie, and we had no idea of knowing that Robbie and Ronald was the same person. So that's why we didn't send it 2 years earlier. Otherwise, we would have. But when they sent it this year, they actually sent it to us in the name of Ronald, and that's how he got launched.
And
But
like
I agree that we can, waive the $30.
So that's my motion, Mr. Chairman, to waive the garnishment, including the $30 fee.
Okay, motion a second?
I'll second.
Motion a second, on my time to consider, all in favor with aye? Opposed?
No.
One no, Mr. Thomas. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We should get a letter on that. Thank you. Okay. Fast, boy, you're doing good. Don't slow down. To number 10, Ms. Cheryl is here from LGC. You invited her to come, really. And Ms. Cheryl, we're so glad that you come in the afternoon. We know that you have to get back to Raleigh to be working tomorrow morning. But happy Easter and welcome to Hope County. Thank you. Governor, that's speak on battery that might cut it.
I can just talk about
Okay.
it. Can y'all hear me?
We can't do it. God, fix the batteries in that thing.
Anyway, thank you for the invitation. I appreciate you not having this 2 weeks ago. When Tish and I were working out dates for me to come down, I looked at the calendar, I said, that's national championship night.
That's right.
So I really didn't want to take the chance that Carolina would be playing. So I was thankful that she was flexible.
I need a new battery.
Just press that button until it's
Turn red.
maintain screen.
Great. If it doesn't, it's a battery, like you said. It's green. Get it, Miss Candy, let a lady show you how to fix that thing. All right, Ms. Sherman, go ahead, why don't you do that?
Okay, well, anyway, I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to come talk with you tonight. As you know, we've been working with the staff here at Hope County for several years, trying to help the county get its financial affairs and operations in better working order. We've seen the county struggle in prior years to maintain an adequate fund balance, comply with its budget, and produce its annual audit on time. Fortunately, the fund balance issues have subsided. The county's now at a healthy 21 or 22%. Of course, that's information is a little over a year old at this point.
Right.
But I'm assuming the 16 numbers are just as good or better. While there's certainly always room for improvement in your fund balance, you can always use more fund balance, of course. We understand that a growing county like Hope has needs that sometimes outpace your revenues at times. Sometimes growth takes a little while to catch up. You have to provide before if you build it, they will come to theory. Budgetary issues, we believe, have improved, as evidenced by the purchase order policy that the county adopted in 2015. We've been working with the county for at least 4 years straight on trying to, thank you, trying to help with getting the budgetary compliance in order. And that was excellent purchase order policy that the county adopted. And assuming it's being complied with, then things should be in much better order there when the 16 audit comes in as well. The county has continued to work with the sheriff's office to adapt policies such that the budgets are complied with at the same time operations are not being impeded. And I know all counties struggle with that issue, with the needs of the sheriff's office versus the needs of the finance office. Issues with the inmate trust account have also improved. Again, this is the first real progress we've seen in that area. So I applaud you for that as well. When we get the 2016 audit, I do expect to see these things have improved. I understand the county's struggling right now by not having a finance officer. And we'll get to that in just a second. There's always, of course, room for improvement. The current investigations have prevented the county's auditor from issuing the 2016 audit. It was already late, though, prior to that happening. The county right now does not have a permanent finance officer unless you hired somebody in the last couple of weeks. I understand the challenges in finding a qualified person to fulfill that role. We've got several counties right now looking for finance officers and several municipalities as well. You're going to have to be competitive in that to get the kind of person you need to lead the county in its financial area. Y'all have a $50 million annual budget, including your enterprise funds. So that's not pocket change. So you need to make sure that you focus on getting a qualified person in here in that role. You're going to have to do something to kind of make yourself stand out amongst all those openings, and there are quite a few of those. Unfortunately, with the 2016 audit not being complete, the county is in somewhat of a holding pattern there. You are unable to issue debt at this time because you don't have a current audit. And also the audit is the way you're accountable to your citizens. One of the ways. I mean, there's multiple ways that you're accountable to your citizens, but that's one of the ways. And so you don't have a current financial audit to present to them. And that can raise some questions, of course. Hope's a growing county that's likely to have infrastructure needs in the future that it wishes to and must address. And that's going to be difficult without having that audit complete. We understand the audit can't be completed until the investigation is a little further down the road and the auditor feels comfortable that the financial statements are completely accurate. Or materially accurate, I should say. I understand completion of the SBI investigation is out of the county's control. However, I just urge all of you to work together the best way you can to bring this to a close as soon as you can. Because until you get that 16 audit complete, you're really kind of stuck. Your 17 audit should be starting now. They can't start that because the 16 is not finished. Right. So 17 is probably going to be late as well. The longer this goes on. Again, all of this limits the county's ability to meet its citizens' needs. So our staff has worked with and will continue to work with Ms. Edens and her staff. We're very happy to provide whatever assistance we can. The assistance will not be effective without the full effort of the entire county to resolve its issues and work together towards its common goals. I'm available for questions.
I have a question for you, Ms. Edmonds. First of all, thank you for coming on behalf of the board. Really appreciate you coming. My first question is, part of the investigation that SBAP started was dealing with payroll issues from mainly the sheriff department and other areas. And we're looking at, and the manager's recommending possibly some type of electronic payroll. What is your position on that in regards to electronic payroll?
Well, good payroll records are crucial to support your salary, which is one of your biggest expenditures in accounting. Whether that's on paper or electronic is somewhat a matter of preference. I think paper records, well, let me say this. If you don't have good internal controls around each process, they can both be manipulated, right? Electronic records can be manipulated just as paper records can be if you don't have proper controls over either one of those. The difference I would think with electronic is that everything you do to an electronic record needs some sort of trail. And paper, of course, can be destroyed.
So would you recommend putting the entire county on electronic
I mean,
payroll?
it's a cost-benefit analysis that the county's gonna have to do if you feel like that it's worth what it's gonna cost you in time and effort and money. Then, I believe most counties use electronic payroll.
Most counties across the state.
I believe so.
Okay.
I have a question for you. So the 16 audit can't be completed due to the investigation?
That's my understanding is that the auditor is waiting until the investigation is a little farther down the road. They have to determine what, if any, the monetary effect is of the investigation. Plus, they also need to look at what internal controls may have failed or may have been circumvented. Because they don't want to issue a financial statement and then the investigation comes to a close and, it was determined that there is X number of dollars of loss.
And just so I'm understanding, so because the investigation is out of our control, and they're waiting for some unknown point in the investigation, and that causes the 17 audit to be behind and late, is that our fault?
I'm not saying it is the county's fault. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. It just unfortunately is the way things are.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask one question, follow up on that. If the SBI's investigation is not complete, but if our internal audit that we're doing ourselves, internal investigation, or whatever you want to call it, is finished by the firm that we hired, Cherry Beckett. If that is complete and they can give our auditors some sense of where everything's at, would that be sufficient enough for them to move on, or they would wait for the SBI?
I can't speak for your auditors as to what they would be comfortable with or not be comfortable with.
Okay.
I'm supposing that they're waiting to get something that they can get comfortable with,
Okay.
whether that's the SBI or.
So that could be something that we could convey to them to see what they would say.
Again, that's up to them. They're
Yeah.
the ones signing that opinion with me.
Right.
Any more questions? Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us, but we just want to make it clear to our citizens that there has been much improvement made.
There has been, and we've been very pleased and continue to work with Ms. Edens, like I said, and her staff to continue to help the county move forward.
That's the part was hidden. We want to make sure our citizens understand that we have made much improvement along with your office and staff, and that put policies in place to clean up and straighten out some areas.
And also, a lot of these things happened before Ms. Eden became the county manager. So a lot of the issues that was pertaining to the whole county was prior to her tenure as county manager.
Right, I mean, the things we've been working on in the county have existed for at least the last 4 or 5 years.
Right. Kind of clean up late, but thank you, Ms. Tish. Somebody else.
That's right, appreciate that.
But thank you so much for coming. Have a safe trip back.
Thank you.
Okay, good. All righty, Ms. Tish, the next item is yours.
I am coming back to talk to the board about some of our public comment from last week in regards to the noise complaint issues that we had. The board asked me to look at putting together a committee for the noise ordinance. I actually had Candace, who is doing she's the jack of all trades right now, because she's helping me out quite a bit. We were able to put an application out on our website for the citizens of Hope County to put in an application to be involved in that committee. We actually were able to get roughly about five citizens that actually signed up for the application to be part of that committee.
Now, most of the issues regarding the noise ordinance was in Rockfish, in that area.
Yes.
So did you get some citizens out of that area?
We had citizens from Reservation Road, Gillis Hill Road, Edinburgh Road, and Spring Valley Drive.
Okay.
And then actually Andrew Enlow, who actually spoke at the public hearing, public comment, he actually also signed up also.
Okay.
And then I put people within the county, employees, Robert Farrell, who's our planner, Andy Connors, in inspections, the sheriff, Gwen, our clerk to the board, the county attorney, and myself. And then I would like to have one commissioner on our committee to also be involved in that, to make up that committee for the noise ordinance.
Tish, I'm asking you to excuse yourself from that. You got enough going on.
Thank you.
Not be part of that. We got other citizens that
Thank you.
within our county that we're glad to see.
Mr. Chairman, I had a gentleman call me and talk to me about interest in serving on this board, Mr. E.T. Brock, that actually lives over in that community, and I would like to offer his name with that group.
I would agree with that.
If that's fine with the board.
I would agree.
That's fine.
Well, I'd like to nominate our chairman, James Leach, for the board.
I second that, Mr. Price.
Call for
Question on that motion.
No, the vice chairman credit. I can't get it.
Mr. Vice Chairman, if you'll carry the motion.
I shall carry the motion. There's been a motion and second that our chairman serve on this noise ordinance committee. All in favor, show by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Just for the record, call the names.
It will be Ellen Bradford, George Davis, Carrie Berry, Timothy Tapio, and Andrew Enlow,
E.T. Brock.
and E.T. Brock.
E.T. Brock.
Robert Farrell.
Robert Farrell, Andy Connor, Sheriff Hubert Peterkin, Gwen McGugan, Brady Hunt, and Chairman James Leach.
Sounds good.
Mr. Chairman, you might as well say the sheriff or his designee, because the
Yes.
sheriff may not want
Yeah.
to. Okay?
Okay. Do I have a motion for those names you just heard? Some of them haven't been voted on. So moved.
My second.
Motion second on the name you just heard. All that time to sit off it with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I have. Thank you. Animal control.
The next order of business is also on an issue we've been dealing with is animal control ordinance. Grady has been working on that. A certified letter has gone out in reference to the citizen that the issue has been dealt with. And then we're working on other avenues of how we will make those citations stick as far as certified letters. And we've also given our animal control officers a different avenue. If they get pictures of the actual animals from citizens that show that they're off their leash and they're in the other citizen's yard, they have now been instructed by our county attorney that they can now leave that citation. If they have the proof from the citizen, that is a legal way that they can leave that citation and still charge that citation if they do not come to the door. Because that is one of the things that the citizen has been doing. She doesn't answer the door because she knows they're out there.
Okay.
But we have to prove that it actually happened and it's in the person and a complaint has been filed against her.
Okay.
So we have worked that out. And we also want to come back to you roughly with Scotty Lucky, who's the interim director right now. We will be coming back to you to look at some of the ordinance in the animal control, and we'll be coming back to talk to you about some of those issues in there, see if we can strengthen them a little bit.
Okay. Steve?
The next thing I have is the time clock upgrade. I have talked to you about that. Our time clock system currently is being, they will not maintenance anymore. So we are having to upgrade that system. And Grady has the contract right now. He's looking at that contract, but it will allow us to put everyone on the system for all departments, offices, agencies that were not able to be on it because they're not on our system. It is now a cloud. So if you have internet access, you can get onto the system and log in now. Regardless of how you do it, there's a time clock, there's a timesheet on it that you can, people that aren't able to clock in, they can go in and do their timesheet. You can clock in through your phone as long as it's a county-owned phone. You can call in through a 1-800 number. I mean, they have like 4 or 5 ways we can have it where you clock in. And that we're gonna put different internal controls on this, where it's actually done at the department level. It won't be done in HR anymore. The departments will handle their edits. They will handle how their time gets put in. The next layer will be HR, and then the next layer will be payroll. So we know what comes in, what goes out, and we'll be able to manage the internal controls that way.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
listening to what the county manager had to say regarding all the ways that you can clock in and clock out, I would like to have, since we already retained the Cherry Becker firm, to have them to look at our internal controls, make sure they're in compliance, because nothing is 100% proof, but the more eyes we get to look at this, the better.
We want it right. I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Okay, we want it right, okay. D,
And the Cherry Becker update, Mike East and Rusty Pounds are here just to give you an update of where we're going.
good evening.
I am the black Mikey. Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
The county retained the Charleston group to assist in connection with the internal review that was directed by this board as a result of the search warrants that were executed back on February 20th. As part of that, the board authorized the county manager to engage one or more firms to support the county staff in connection with its internal control review. As a result, the county engaged the Charleston group, and the Charleston group engaged Cherry Becker to preserve the attorney-client privilege and the attorney work product confidentiality in connection with work papers that were generated in connection with that investigation. But what I'd like to do before we get going here is I'd like to take a minute and introduce to the board the members of the team from Cherry Becker. I have here tonight Scott McKay, who leads that team. Scott McKay is a CPA, a certified fraud examiner, director of risk services for Cherry Becker, which is a regional accounting firm. I might add, but they do probably more audits of local governments in the state of North Carolina than anybody. They do Cumberland County, they do the City of Fayetteville, they do the Public Works Commission. Those are folks that are close to. We also have here tonight Mike East. Mike, you stand. And I have some information on those guys that I'll read in a minute, but I want you to see them. Mike spent 28 years with the State Bureau of Investigation. The last several years, he was the head of the Financial Crimes Unit. In that capacity, he did a lot of investigation of local governments and things of that nature. And Mike's been with Cherry Becker since his retirement from the State Bureau of Investigation in 2015. Along with Mike is Rusty Pound. Rusty, just stand up. Rusty also was with the Financial Crimes Unit of the SBI for many years, and also the Public Corruption Division. All of these gentlemen now they work for Cherry Becker in the risk group. Thank you, Rusty. I'm going to bring up in just a minute Mike East. Scott McKay and then the other gentleman. There's a couple of things that I'd like to kind of address, and that is the status of where this investigation review is. And again, Scott McKay will go into more detail on it. You may recall that one of the things that the county commissioners directed this team to do right away was get to the bottom of what was happening. And when we brought in Cherry Becker, we said two things. We're going to call balls and strikes. Balls and strikes. Whatever it is, that the chips fall where they land. And so we brought in an independent team. None of these guys had any association or affiliation with Hope County. They all live in Raleigh or thereabout. And as I said time and again, these guys represent Cherry Becker, a regional firm. That firm has the only engagement with Hope County is to investigate the issues that arose out of the execution of the search warrant against the county. And when they came in, the first thing they did was they met with the county manager, they brought a team of people in, and they duplicated a lot of your systems. In other words, they gathered a lot of information that was relevant to this investigation. And the investigation, ladies and gentlemen, was limited to issues involving, at least their engagement was limited to issues involving overtime. That was the issue. Whether or not timesheets and payroll records had been manipulated or falsified to pay people that were not entitled to being paid by the county. And one thing I'll point out, it is county funds that paid everyone that's on the county payroll, whether it be folks employed directly by the county or folks employed by the sheriff's office. All of that money is paid by the county of Hope through your payroll process. So as we understand it, the process has been that timesheets gathered and maintained at the sheriff's department were then transmitted to the county for entry into a system called the Munis system. That's correct, time clock Munis. Scott will get more into that. At the county sheriff's office, some of those records are maintained in a paper format. I think, I'm not sure which commissioner asked that question, but the county sheriff department maintains a different process for maintaining payroll records. But in any event, we'll have Mr. McKay get into that a little bit more. So one of the things I will say to you is that in connection with this investigation, we have worked very closely with the district attorney, Christian Booth, and the sheriff's attorney, Ronnie Mitchell, who's the attorney for the Cumberland County Sheriff, Cumberland County Sheriff Department. Two sheriff departments, we got Hope County and Cumberland County. But we work closely with them to make sure that, to the extent there's information needed in connection with the investigation, that we made that available. And I think your county manager will concur that we've said to the district attorney that there is no need, for instance, if there's a request for information, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call, and we've already done that. They called, they requested some information. We made that available. We made folks available. We made conference rooms available. We did all of those things so that process would be very smooth. And I think, quite frankly, that probably would have been the appropriate process in the very beginning of this investigation, was just to simply reach out to the county and ask for the information. I don't know that a search warrant actually was required to get the kind of information that they ended up getting. But in any event, the message that should go out is that per the direction of the county manager, and I think her directions came from the board of commissioners, cooperate and work with the investigation so that we can get to them. Now, as it stands right now, the Cherry Becker team has substantially completed their work. And the only thing that's left for them to put a bow and a period at the end of this review is to have access to certain timesheets that are maintained by the sheriff's office. As of this day, and although we've been working with the sheriff's office, and I think that progress, at least through today, may have been made, we have yet to receive those timesheets. We'll continue to work with the sheriff's office, and tonight, we had communications with the district attorney and the sheriff's legal counsel, Ronnie Mitchell, where I think there is something that we might be able to work through. I'd like to talk with the board in closed session, if that's appropriate. I don't want to go into that in a public setting.
Well, Mr. Charleston, you've been talking with them in the past for the last week or two, and you thought you had an agreement before, and it didn't pan out, did it? So going forward, we need to look at the recommendation of Cherry Becker on how we can make sure that we get the records that we need so that we can close this investigation.
Well, let me say this, Mr. Vice Chairman. There is a legal process that we'll have to go through to obtain those records to the extent that's available. But I think that in our communication today, and I'd like to, I think the appropriate forum is to go into, if we're going to go into details of that, I think maybe a closed session would be appropriate to do that. and so that the commission can hear fully, what that communication happened to be. And that's at your discretion, but certainly, we've made some progress on that. But that doesn't mean, right, to your point, doesn't mean that we've reached any agreement on it. I just simply said we've made progress towards obtaining that information. There's a couple of things that I'd like to say as a practical matter. The information that's being sought from the sheriff department was not their investigative files. We've made that very clear. We've not looked for anything involving the ongoing investigation by the FBI. We've not asked for any of the notes, anything in the investigative file. The only thing, information that's been requested from the sheriff's office is simply the timesheets. And the gentleman from Cherry Becker will tell you the significance of that. Simply put, we want to compare the information maintained Chairman, at the county offices with the information that's maintained at the sheriff's office to see where the discrepancies are. Why is that necessary? They want to try to determine where and if any alterations of those timesheets occurred. Where did they occur? Did they occur at the county offices or did they occur at the sheriff's offices? And again, these gentlemen have a report. They're going to go into it in a little bit more detail, but we have some preliminary information. I call it preliminary because we don't have the timesheets that would be necessary to conclude the report. And I think Ms. Edmondson spoke to it early on. So by being able to receive that information, we'll be able to close things up on a number of fronts for the county. First of all, I think Sharon Edmondson indicated that you can't complete your audit of the county because the SBI investigation is still pending. You can't borrow any money because you don't have a current audit because the SBI investigation is still pending. And so Cherry Becker has indicated that once they have those timesheets, they can rapidly conclude the work. And because we have worked together on a number of these things in the past, the one thing we know, what our process has been in the past, is that when those reports are complete, those reports are turned over to law enforcement. Those reports are not reports that are manipulated or influenced by the County Board of the Commissioners or the county. The reports are prepared by Cherry Becker. And so in terms of integrity in those reports, I don't think the public or law enforcement has to be concerned about it. In fact, the way the process normally works, and Mike East will speak to that more, typically before the SBI will come in and investigate a local government, the first thing they ask for is whether or not the local government has conducted its own investigation. Now, I want to give you an example, folks. Right now, Wake County Register of Deeds is under investigation. They say probably $11 million a year goes through the Wake County Register of Deeds. But let me tell you how that worked. The first thing that happened when it was suspected that there was some impropriety in the Register of Deeds office, Wake County conducted an internal investigation. Let me repeat that. When they determined in Wake County that there was a problem in the Register of Deeds office, the county initiated an internal investigation. Sharon Edmondson mentioned earlier that Polk County is a small county, and being a small county, you have limited resources, and so you don't have an internal audit function. Wake County has an internal audit function, so they brought in their internal auditors, conducted an investigation. At the conclusion of that investigation, when it appeared that there could be impropriety that would have occurred, may have occurred in the Wake County Register of Deeds office, it was at that point that the Wake District Attorney was brought in. And the Wake County Manager and the Wake County District Attorney jointly requested that the SBI come in and do an investigation based on their own internal audit. So it seems that in this case, there's some sequencing, some things that are out of sequence, potentially. I mean, it probably would have worked a lot smoother if this information was brought to the attention of the county. County conducted its internal investigation as we're doing now. then that information is then turned over to the district attorney and to law enforcement to take it from that point forward. Might also point out there, and I just want to speak to some of the outliers. There was some discussion, I think, in one of the media outlets that that this investigation has cost Polk County $400,000. And I will tell you, my office has not submitted invoices for this that have been paid. There have been no invoices paid. So I'm not sure where the 400,000 comes from, but I thought it important enough to point out that the county has not incurred that type of expenditure at all. I believe the county hasn't incurred any expenditure. There's not been a single check written at this point. Is that correct?
The retainers.
Just the retainers. So those were de minimis, if I recall correctly. So at this point, what I'd like to do is bring Scott McKay forward. And what Mr. McKay will do is kind of give you an overview of where their work is at this point. And then, of course, I would ask the county to entertain a closed session, if you think it's appropriate, to deal with a deeper dive in some of the information that we have. And then it's necessary to come back out and address it after that closed session. I think that might be appropriate. Okay. There's a point in the presentation, summary findings, when we get to that point, stop before we get to that point, because I'd like for us to go into closed session.
Well, is Mr. East gonna speak before then, or? Mr. Francis, they want to speak.
Part of the team, speak collectively. And Mr. East and Mr. Pound is part of the chair effort team, will speak collectively.
Okay.
Okay. The board of commissioners.
Okay.
Just bear with me a moment. I appreciate it. No, thank you. Everybody get my password.
Scott, before you get started, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Have any of our board members stood in the way of any information of anything that you need to include?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, everybody from the county has been very cooperative in assisting us to get through.
From manager down, have all of our staff been willing to work and give you everything you asked for and wanted at all times?
Yeah, I would say that's a fair statement, sir. Everybody in the county has been completely cooperative, open, and transparent.
So no, none of our staff, none of our board has done this investigation.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Sure. Be leery of the mic, but hopefully everybody can hear me clearly. And I'll use the pointer just to point out a couple of things. But again, I am a CPA, I'm a certified fraud examiner, also certified internal auditor. I've been working in finance and internal investigations for a number of years, over 20 years. I'm formerly a global controller for a large publicly traded multinational company. And having internal reviews or internal investigations is a normal, ordinary course of business. You will always be doing these things. And I've never found anybody that it's not, when you're not doing these things, you usually have a problem. But let me advance the slide deck and say we have a Responsibility for internal reviews, I do want to talk to everybody about that. I think Mr. Charleston highlighted that earlier, but I'll tell you as a professional, we often help organizations set up programs of internal control just for this reason. The responsibility is really all organizations are supposed to have an anti-fraud program of controls, and it should include the following areas. I don't want to be really specific about what those are, but your corporate governance, including your policies, some of which I heard tonight, you put in some new purchasing policies, which are part of your anti-fraud program of controls. The other thing that we find a lot of organizations don't do is they don't do a fraud risk assessment. And the reason is I don't really know how to conduct one or not, but I would say this to you. Fraud occurs most generally because people didn't see it. We got blindsided by it. We knew about it, we just didn't manage it appropriately, or some of the internal controls failed that were supposed to timely prevent or detect fraud. You should have a preventative set of controls, authorization controls, closed controls to put checks and balances in place, such as your timekeeping and your payroll systems, to timely prevent fraud. But you should also have a set of detective controls that are specifically designed to look at irregular or unusual activities that would cause prudent, reasonably trained people to go and do further investigation. And then the last piece I'll tell you, which is the most important and which often we find people are missing, but I applaud the county, you're exercising these controls right now, is you have a reporting process. You have a coordinated approach, not a discoordinated approach, to internal investigations and corrective action, which is what's happening right now. It's incumbent on each organization to demonstrate sound financial stewardship, good governance by conducting its own internal reviews. Get your facts first. We typically, as Mr. Charleston indicated, work with law enforcement, but they typically want us to work with the organization to get your own internal review done first, and then coordinate with law enforcement when you have your facts straight. Once predication, I'll define that in a minute, is determined, then the organization may coordinate with outside counsel, law enforcement, to the necessary effect for corrective action. That's typically how it happens. Now, these aren't just Cherry Becker's views. These are the views of the experts. This is a published document. This is called Managing the Business Risk of Fraud. It is published by the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, the experts, the Institute of Internal Auditors, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. They all jointly put this publication together. It's free and it's available online. That's what tells you the controls you should have in place. And so one of them we're exercising right now in red is that process. These don't reflect the views of Cherry Becker. This is just the timelines anecdotally of what we understand happened and transpired. One, there was a search warrant, an SBI search warrant was executed on about February 20th related to some overtime matters, certain personnel files and some payroll records. Cherry Becker has been engaged through the law offices of the Charleston Group, which is privileged, confidential, and subject to work product doctrine under law. So I can't disclose anything unless authorized by outside counsel. But I've been authorized to disclose this. Various media reported statements attributed to Hope County Sheriff that the SBI investigation of possible misconduct in the county government is a serious matter and that would likely result in potentially criminal charges. Those seem to be the summary of reports that happened on or about this time. The Board of Commissioners resolution was adopted on February 22nd, 2017, authorizing the county manager to engage one or more firms to support the county's internal review, which revolves around investigating allegations of impropriety. So typically that's what would happen. A board of reasonably, prudent people charged with governance would engage the resources they need to conduct their own investigation. So you're doing exactly that. Then lastly, the county engaged the Charleston Group and subsequently Cherry Becker on February 24th to support the county with its internal review. Our scope is very limited. We were engaged by council to do a limited internal review, very limited, focused on questionable human resource issues and payroll matters. We focused primarily on the hire to retire cycle. We call it a business cycle. We hire somebody until they retire. Focused on employee timekeeping and payroll. We have not been engaged to do anything outside of that or directed by council or any members of the board. Our procedures were the following. We did interviews of council, management, general information gathering concerning what transpired. of any irregular activity, known losses, or concerns about suspected losses. So we have all the information in the public domain as well. Any suspected losses of financial operations that may put the county at risk of loss. And when I say loss, I mean losses due to fraud, due to unauthorized transactions. We prepared a discovery request of items and access to personnel, documentation, records, and the county was completely cooperative with those requests. It was voluminous. We obtained red personnel files. We looked at other records to understand potential related parties and other potential conflicts of interest. And a conflict of interest in this case, we would say, is a conflict that you don't know about and not been authorized, but where two people have a relationship working together for mutual gain that you're unaware of. That would be a conflict of interest. We conduct interviews of management, reviewed certain employee data to include but not limited to payroll, hourly reporting of the county employees, overtime, and other forms of compensation to Hope County employees. We have applied preliminary, I want to say this carefully, preliminary data analytical procedures against the employee records, the timekeeping records, and the payroll records for the period from January 1st, 2012 through February 21st, 2017. We applied certain diagnostics, forensic techniques to show or tell us, indicate to us where there may be irregular activity in the payroll and timekeeping records. We conducted interviews of a person of interest, and we requested to conduct interviews of other county employees and have not been able to conduct those interviews. And again, trying to find out what the facts are, who knew what when. We have coordinated with state law enforcement and the district attorney to obtain records initially seized by state law enforcement. Those are our procedures today. The rest of this report is summary, preliminary draft findings of what our procedures yielded. But I'd also tell you that in order to complete and express an opinion about what the facts are in this case, we cannot do it without the subsequent records that Mr. Charleston described earlier, which is literally vouching and comparing what the record of the timekeeping records and the payroll records of original entry from the sheriff's office against the timekeeping records and payroll records contained within the county. And those would tell us if there was any alteration. Today, we have not seen those records. And I think at this point, Mr. Attorney, you'd like to move to closed session.
Yeah, I mean, we can.
Before we go into closed session tonight, we don't want to keep you that here waiting, that don't want to wait any longer. We have another item tonight to item 12. So before we hold it, take there, item 12 is a very special night for us here in Hope County. We have a very special person with us tonight. She's present, Dr. Karen Smith. If she come up front. And the husband may come with her. The staff members would be honored to come. If you'd like to come and stand.
Ms. Wayne.
Dr. Smith and Mr. Smith and family, this county recognizes you tonight as being very important to our county and state and national. We are so grateful that we can do a resolution tonight and recognize you, claim this is your night in Hope County. For you and your staff, we, citizens of Hope County, this board would like to have you to come so that we can let our citizens know what a great job that you've done in our county, and we love having you in your office and your staff in our county. So tonight we wanted to recognize that before our citizens. We did a resolution in your honor for that, and certainly we'll have a party outside for you when we leave. The board is going to come down at this time and present and read a resolution by the vice chair, and that we might show that our appreciation for local government. Local government tonight would like to say thank you for your service to our citizens. Your office is very much needed. Our citizens always need a good doctor. And thank you for staying in Hope County. We still feel, we know that Hope County is one of the greatest counties in the state of North Carolina. And we recognize that tonight. We're so blessed and honored that you have been here with us, the numbers of years you've been with us. And certainly tonight we come from local government to say thank you so much. So the board would come down and we'll read resolution.
She's part of the public health department in this area. You like to come? Anyone else from the office staff? Health department, office, come on down. So Mr. Rice, on the health department, remember that, so what? I just tell them what a good job she's been doing. You know, before I do that, I just want to say that you've been here for over 25 years. I'm serving Hope County, doing an outstanding job. Valuable assets to the health department. You know, with your talents, you could have gone anywhere in the country, but you chose to serve Hope County. And after that, I say thank you because so talented. On behalf of this great board here, I want to just read this proclamation honoring Dr. Karen Smith. Whereas Karen L. Smith, MD, was born on October the 8th, 1962 in Washington, D.C. Whereas Dr. Smith attended Springbrook High School in Silver Springs, Maryland, received a Bachelor of Science degree in Science from Duke University, and received a medical degree from Hahnemann University School of Medicine in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And whereas Dr. Smith trained at National Congress of Family Physicians residents, North Carolina Academy of Family Physicians, Duke University, and Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. And whereas Dr. Smith began practicing medicine in 1992 at Hope Family Medical Center in Rayford, North Carolina, before establishing a private practice specializing in family medicine in Rayford, North Carolina in 2003. And whereas Dr. Smith is a proponent of technology in her field, being among the first family physicians practitioners to offer interactive patient portals and kiosk-based check-ins. She has testified on Capitol Hill regarding the challenges and benefits of electronic health technology. And whereas Dr. Smith served as the medical director and supervising physician for the Hope County Health Department. And whereas Dr. Smith is board certified by the American Board of Family Medicine and has the American Academy of Family Physicians degree of fellow, and earned degree awarded to the family physician for distinguished service in continuing medical education. And whereas Dr. Smith was named the 2017 National Physician of the Year by the American Academy of Family Physicians. And whereas Dr. Smith has made a lifelong commitment to improving patient lives and has been instrumental in making Hope County a healthier place to live. Now, therefore, the Hope County Board of Commissioners recognizes Dr. Karen Smith for her dedication to the people of Hope County and her contributions to Hope County in this community. Adopted the 17th day of April 2017, signed by James Leach, Chairman, Harry Sutherland, Vice Chair, Tony Hunt, Commissioner, Robert Wright, Commissioner, Alan Thomas, Commissioner, attested by our clerk, William McGugan. Tonight we present to Ms. Dr. Karen Smith. Proclamation.
Thank you so much. I certainly appreciate this recognition. I did discover that I'm probably one of the few rare physicians to stay in one county in North Carolina for the length of time of 25 years. It's not heard of in most of our counties. I do also say thank you for the opportunity to allow me to do work on both the state and national level. I have had the opportunity as from this recognition of traveling international and speaking to students from all over the world, encouraging them to enter into the discipline of family medicine. Our country is in extreme shortage of primary care providers, and we need to start encouraging our younger people who have interest and desire to become physicians as early as 8th grade. My work will continue. I have just been nominated to participate on the Government Accountability Office in Washington, but I will continue to do my work here because this is where I have learned. And so I appreciate it and will continue to do and represent the county all over the country and, as I stated, internationally. Thank you so much.
Dr. Smith sits down that not only is she my family doctor, and I'm proud of that. She's, get away. Leave me alone. And I want to say too, I think the very first board she had served on in Hope County was the health department board. And I think I was on that board when she came here, and we got acquainted with one another. We've been knowing one another ever since, and it's been a pleasure to watch her grow and really commit her life to this county. And I've watched her do that. And I just want to say to you personally from me that I thank you for doing that for this county. God bless you.
Again, Dr. Smith, in your staff, I recall some 20 years ago when we was trying to get doctors in our county. We could not afford to have doctors here. We could not hire doctors. And I'll never forget the night that we had reception of Dr. Townsend home, that we were trying to beg you to come to our county, and you did, you and your family. So tonight, 13 years later, local government, I'd like to thank you for coming and for staying. As you said earlier, they come and they get out, but you have taken and we want to tonight, local government, say thank you for the service you provide for our citizens of our county. Keep us healthy.
I just want to say thank you. You're my position as well. I thought it was rare for politicians to go to a doctor in their home county. That's probably rare. So you at least have two. Don't be HIPAA guy. But you know, over the past 5 years, every time I've been to a doctor, it was only at your place. So unfortunately, this is probably how many times I've been. I need to do better. But thank you so much for what you've done for this county. We have something we can brag on in the midst of all this that we're going through. I'm glad we took this break to have this break to honor you. Whenever we go to these national conferences, we can brag that the doctor that won the National Doctor of the Year.
That's right.
Is from Hope County.
That's right. That's right. Would you share with us what you did wrong?
No,
I'd like to say we certainly appreciate all the work you've done with that county. I served with you a lot of years on the health board, and it's amazing how much the health board has improved. And a lot of that is due to you and Arlena back here at the back here. They have worked hard to make Hope County one of the best places that anybody can get medical attention anywhere around. It's nice to have Hope County with the same stuff that people all over the state and over the nation has. Just because we're a small county, we don't have to be behind. We can move forward. We can take the lead in a lot of things. And we are doing that. And a lot of that is because of the fine people we have in Hope County that'll take the time and the trouble to do it, to make it possible. And we again thank you.
And I want to thank her husband, Mr. Hendricks, as well. I know he does a lot of work at the office as well. She wouldn't be able to do the great things she does without having a strong, wonderful husband by her side. So I want to thank you and everybody else that's here that works in the practice. Thank you all so much.
The board will take a 5-minute recess. That we go outside and join, and we'll come back in closed session.
No, there's some out there.
Are there a motion on the floor
What kind of motion are you looking for, Mr. Chairman?
on the resolution you got in front of you?
Just move to adopt that resolution, if you'll read the heading on the resolution.
Read the heading right here at the top?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we, move to adopt the resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Hope County, North Carolina, directing the Hope County Sheriff Department to prepare and deliver a special report to the Board of Commissioners pursuant to North Carolina General Statute, Section 153A-104.
A second. Second. Motion second, heard the request, all in favor with aye? Opposed? I have it, thank you. I heard a motion to recess this meeting to next Monday night at 6 p.m. Or we say? 7. Next Monday night at 7 p.m., which will be April 24th. So that we recess. Motion is second, recess this meeting to next Monday night, April 24th at 7 p.m. All had time to consider, all in favor with aye? Opposed? Recess. I have it. At this time, board, we are recessed.